Now, I don't usually talk about planets and signs very often, but this eclipse is feeling so strong. I wanted to give some tips on how you can use it to either improve the relationship you're in or improve your dating experience and switch it into a different sort of stratosphere. Because eclipse can create a lot of energy for changing things up. It's the ultimate in cutting things off and starting something new. And it works a lot better, especially right now, because Aquarius is such a sort of unexpected, free thinking, it's the visionary. And so we are especially encouraged right now to take advantage of the ability to jump timelines and even jump timelines within our relationship and let go of old things and tapes and things in a relationship that may not be serving us. But if you've also been dating in a certain way that's maybe not helping you in your search for love, then eclipse can come along and sort of help you to tweak things just enough to get you to a better place. Rahu, or the North Node, which is what creates this eclipse energy, creates almost as much fear in people as Saturn, but it can actually be used to your advantage in relationships if you know how to use it properly. So I'm going to walk you through 3 different ways that you might be able to use Rahu to your advantage in a relationship. And we're going to start with if you are currently dating, specifically if you're currently dating and you're feeling overwhelmed by it, because there's often a lot of expectations that we need to just be working at dating, even if it's not serving us or if we're feeling very drained. And before I can explain to you why Rahu is so helpful if you're feeling overwhelmed by relationships, first let's just go through what Rahu actually is. In Vedic astrology, Rahu is known as the severed head. It's like a demon god. And in tropical astrology, we just refer to Rahu as the North Node. And we call it the North Node because there's the North Node and the South Node of the moon, and Rahu is just representing that North Node of the moon. We know when we are in an eclipse because North Node, or Rahu, is going to be sitting with the sun, and then the moon either lines up for an opposition because there's a full moon, or they'll be together like it is today where both the sun and the moon are in Aquarius. So when this sort of thing happens, the reason it's said to be so dangerous is because when Rahu joins the sun, it essentially obliterates it. And what I mean by that is that Rahu is said to have an insatiable appetite. And so any planet that it's next to, it will devour and it will overshadow. It's just like it does when there's an eclipse, right? It creates that blackness and suspends the power of that planet. Well, when you are suspending the power of the sun, that means that you are lifting out ego and you're eviscerating the ego from the sun, because that's the sun's job. Its job is to give us an ego, like a functioning, healthy ego. But when that's taken away, it creates a moment of blankness. So imagine just being in a room that's completely empty and very dark. So why is that helpful when you are dating? If you're dating and you're sitting in that emptiness, you're noticing that lack, and you're trying to date anyway, it's very likely that you're going to have very weird results because nothing is really connecting properly because ego's just not there. And if ego sounds bad, well, most of us want to have passion in our relationship. And Rahu is really known for that passion because it's going around devouring just blindly because it's looking for the things that excite it, and it tries to eat them up with its severed head. But it's never full because it's just a head and it can't fill itself, and so it's never satisfied. And so that Rahu energy, eviscerating ego, eviscerating passion from a relationship, means that you meet someone and something just feels off. And that's why it's nice to take time off from dating when the eclipse is happening. In fact, most astrologers recommend not really trying to do much of anything when it comes to starting something, unless it's starting something new because you're ending something else. And that takes me to the next recommendation, which is eclipse energy can be excellent if your relationship is on rocky ground and you know deep down that you need to cut it off, but you manage to limp along. Well, eclipse energy can very well break that relationship finally and set you free, especially if you have planets that are in Aquarius, because like I said, right now we are in an Aquarius eclipse. It's funny because we hear a lot about people saying that when Venus is retrograde, that we shouldn't start a new relationship or meet somebody new, but we don't hear very much about whether or not we should start something new or keep dating when we are in an eclipse. So you might be wondering what might happen if I do start a new relationship and meet somebody when we're in an eclipse. Well, if you have eclipse energy in your own chart, it might be just the thing that's going to trigger a relationship that would be highly exciting and passionate for you, something that makes you feel like you're finally really living. And you might even be doing things in that relationship that feel sort of out of bounds and dangerous. Now, that may not work for some people, but if you do have eclipse energy in your own chart, that might feel comfortable. It might feel exactly like what you need to be experiencing. So that's why you should never just look at any kind of advice and think of it as like one size fits all. This could also be a good time to date if you have a lot of Aquarius energy in your chart and you've been feeling a little bit like your life is slowed down in some way. You want some sort of excitement. You don't really know what you're doing with yourself. You want to do something new and different, and you're having this urge to get out of your sort of comfort zone. In that case, dating during eclipse energy could be exactly right for you. You can meet someone that feels like someone you've never met before. Just be sure that the person that you're with is not overtaking you and you still are completely your own person, that you're expressing yourself more freely and feeling more like you rather than like something is being cut off from you. If it feels like you're expanding and growing and this is fruitful and there's excitement rather than a fear and a sense inside that perhaps things are going over a line that you don't want to cross, then more power to you. This could be exactly the kind of energy that's going to take you to the next level in a very serious way. The last thing I want to talk about is how eclipse energy can help revitalize a relationship that you're in, but it started to feel like it's gotten a bit stale. This is the perfect time to make lists of things that you could do together that you don't normally experience, and sort of get some of that honeymoon energy back into your lives, but not just in a superficial way. It's because it's Rahu, it digs really deep and it takes you to another place in your relationship. If you've been holding back a real part of yourself that you really know deep down that you need to share with your partner, then it could be just the thing. With the eclipse in the sign of Aquarius, it can make some people feel lost because we're experiencing new ways of seeing things, new ways of doing things. But if you're in a relationship and it's really been tested and you are questioning whether or not you're going to be able to continue as a couple, then eclipse energy can hand you a reset. It can actually help you to jump timelines. Because of that void, you can fill it with whatever you want to become as a couple. But this means actually getting on the same page with each other so that you can agree that you're going to jump to the same timeline together as a couple. One way you can improve your relationship that's feeling a little bit stale is to surprise your partner with something new that is completely unexpected. Just make sure it doesn't cross their boundaries, because boundary crossing is something that is even easier to do when we've got this eclipse energy going on. But in closing, I just want to remind you that eclipse energy can be very challenging. And if you're not accustomed to Aquarius energy, then this can be even more difficult to get your arms around. So don't take this lightly. If you're feeling it and that you're feeling drawn to the, and you watch this whole video, then you're probably in a good place to use one or more of these techniques to improve your experience in love. But if it's feeling a little bit scary, that's okay too, because eclipse energy for millennia has been something that cultures tend to be very frightened of. Why? Because the eclipse turned day into night, and this was scary and unusual. And so it was bound to make people feel off kilter. But we can, if we're feeling acclimated to Aquarius, if we're feeling open to a very sudden, intense change, use all this to your advantage.